Hello, everyone. It's a Grimdark Painter again. Uh, just following up on the last one that I did, where we primed all of our pieces for our bust of Lehman Russ. Um, Today, we're going to try something a little different. Um, we're going to use Vallejo Mini Game Wash. It's a dipping solution. Um, this piece is a little too big to dip it, and it gives you some instructions on the back here. I can't read that as well. But they're saying you can dip it or you can paint it on. I did some dipping last week, and I was okay with it. I don't like it as well as the other method I used to do shading on gray, but because I had used that this surface primer, this gray primer here, uh, it's an acrylic based product. So the way I do the other one, that wouldn't work because it would get pulled up with the other paint that I use. So in a future episode, I will show you how I do that, and I really like those results. So we'll show you how to do that. So today we're going to try. Want to, like I said, I never throw any old brushes away. You never know what they're good for. Um, we're going to try painting this on, and hopefully it turns out. If not, then we'll clean it all up and try it again. Now I've let this piece set just about a week. I wanted to make sure that the primer was good and dry. It felt a little tacky, and I think it was because of the printing on it. So I just let it set and dry in very, very low humidity. My apartment stays very low, and to make sure that it stays dry, or it gets dry all the way through. And it's not tacky anymore. So we're going to go ahead and try this. Now I'm going to do mainly blocking in colors. So this is going to take place over a few episodes. The idea is to get the base colors in, and then I will go back and um, start doing the detailing on them. Now I'll pull this over so you can see it. Um, See, I mixed it up, and it's got a lot of air bubbles in it. It's very foamy. Not a big fan of that because it's supposed to be real super thin. And as you can see on the side, it's not that thin. And I believe that's due to these bubbles. So we're going to try and work around these. This is the first time I've used this particular kind. I have another bottle of their other, when they first brought it out. I liked it fairly well. Uh, but I'm not a big fan of these bubbles. So we're going to try and move some of them out of the way here, get down to where the actual ink is at. This is what it is. It's just basically just really, 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 really thin ink. Um, and it's supposed to go, the idea is you dip it in and it seeps down to into the cracks and the details. But I learned from previous experiences that these bubbles don't let that happen. So we're going to try and get away from them as much as we can. As you can see, it's starting to go into the recesses and everything. But what I don't like is that the bubbles are still there. I'm going to try and do this very carefully so we get the tint without the bubbles. If this continues, you may get to hear some of my more colorful expressions. I really hate bubbles. You can see the detail that's coming up, all the nicks and cracks on the armor are coming up, but the bubbles are getting in my way here. So I know those are not my fingerprints. Well, they might be from before when I was priming it. It's possible. So try to blow some of the bubbles out of there, see if that helps a little bit. I thought that the bubbles wouldn't transfer from the brush, but as you can see, they are. See, they're transferring from the brush onto the piece. Not a fan of that. Try to work through it and get the bubbles into one spot so we can maybe pull them out all at once. I'm trying to do this without knocking this over and put it so you can see what I'm doing. It's a little bit more difficult than I thought originally. The bubbles are dissipating in here, so maybe by the time we get to another piece, or a bigger, more detailed piece, it won't be so bad. So what I'm going to do with this, the idea is to get this base black gray on, and then I'm going to go back and attempt to lighten it up. Normally when I do this, you can see the color variation here between these two. That's what I want to try to get rid of with the subsequent paint jobs. Because what's happening is the paint's a little, this ink is I'm not getting the same pigmentation on them through the brush as I would dipping it. And I'm not getting the detail that I wanted because of these bubbles. So this may be a exercise in futility, but we're going to keep trying here and see how it goes. And you can see this variation right here, and it's just on that one spot. I don't know quite how to fix it yet, but we're going to try. We're going to keep working on it and go from there. Because there's a lot of detail I want to get picked out. You can see the ridges on it. So there's a lot of detail I want to pick up on this. And I'm hoping that this thin down wash will, or dip, whatever you want to call it, will help me pick out. I'm going to keep going and make sure we get as much of the armor plating as we can. I'm trying not to get too much on the fur because the fur is going to get a different color on it. I don't want to get too thick a paint build up on it. Oh, we're kind of getting there. We're getting there. See, it's kind of splotchy. So we're going to go back over this again with some grays. This is like your base coat. This is going to be your base coat. As this piece is so much bigger than what I'm normally used to, it's going to be, we're going to find out how this works together because I haven't done a piece this big. about the biggest piece I've done was a whole figure in 54 millimeter, and um, you can still hide quite a bit in 54 millimeter. As you can see in this, I'm not able to hide a whole lot from this scale because it's so big. Uh, Trying to get some ink running down here without all these bubbles. You can see the bubbles are popping, but not fast enough for what I wanted to do. Go over like such. Run down into the creases here, hopefully. Pick up some of that super detail I was talking about in the last video. You can see it really starting to pop up now. We don't want to have so much of the wash on it that we lose the detail at the same time. It's this fine balance between the two of how much is too much and how much is not enough. I'm still trying to get it to go in the lines too. So, working on here. Actually, it doesn't dry quite as quick as some of the other paints, so I'm able to pull some of that excess out and use it in other places where it's a little bit bigger swatches of flat area. Now I have a basic idea of colors I want to use on this piece. This being the base color is what in the 30K universe the wolves wore basically a dark, so mid-tone gray. They're not into the decorations, making it bright and everything. So most of their decoration comes from fetishes and trinkets, skulls of animals and wolf pelts and pieces of from fallen foes, to decorate their armor with, because that's trying to get that down in that area there. See, I'm trying to get the lines to come out, and not overtone it. So this is going to be a challenge, and we're going to be in this together, guys. Because guys and gals, sorry, I need to be sexist, but I use dude and gang and guys as a totally generic, non-gender specific speech, just the way I am. So if I offend when I say dude or guys or gang, it's unintentional. It's just how I speak. That's a little better. The dip probably would have been better, but as you can see, this piece is not going to go in that. It's just not. And with all those bubbles, I think it would have been a harder time cleaning it, getting the bubbles off than I'm doing painting. So I think it was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point. My only hope is that once we start doing the detail work, it'll hide a lot of these imperfections that are showing up as far as the color variations, how the ink's laying. So we get everything in there. Now we got to fight with see that detail in there now. It's just gorgeous. I mean, the designer of this did such a wonderful job. My hope is that I can do it justice. I can do these stupid air bubbles on here. Let's see how it goes here. Normally, I have my pieces in a painting handle, but I don't have a handle big enough for this. So I'm just going to use various parts of the piece itself. Now, once I start doing the detail work, I'm going to have it mounted on its little pedestal that it's supposed to be sitting on. So that should help a little bit. Now I got to get these bubbles on here. As you can see that this light, this ink job is really pulling up the details that you wouldn't able to see before, as it's doing its auto shading and slight coloration of the gray underneath. You have to watch that when you're resting your hands against the edge of your desk or your painting surface, whatever you happen to be using, that you don't put too much pressure on it, because what will happen is you'll cut your blood flow off, or you'll pinch a nerve and your hand will go numb. And we don't want that to happen. That's when things fall out of your hand and land in big pots, or you knock over your paint. So you want to make sure that you always take a break. If your hands start cramping, that's your body saying, let's take a break. You've been doing this for a while. And I'll be honest, a lot of times I ignore my body when it comes to small things like that, because I get so wrapped up in getting it painted, wanting to get it done. It's cost me more than a few mistakes. It's starting to come around. Everything coated fairly well here. In there, down here in the vents. So we got those bubbles out. Bring that around to the bottom here. Pull those air. I can see some spots where looks like we may not have got some of the primer on there, because it's pulling away from Have to pull away. Paint's going to pull away. These little pieces up here, we've got some more knot work, and we've got some runes on the back here. We have enough down here in the crevices. Let's make sure we're not seeing anywhere here. We're going to call this backpack done. I'll try to get the camera to focus a little bit better on here. You can see the runes up in here. Now those will be picked out with a different color. And if you look up underneath here, these lines here are runes also. So, like I said, it's got a lot of detail on it. There's a little indentation where a wolf skull was at. We'll let that set. That's about the tone of gray that we're going for. So, we want to try and keep it about that tone. Maybe a little darker, maybe a little lighter. Once we get the other pieces on together, get the other colors on there, really start to see that difference. Well, so we're going to do the body now. If we can't get these air bubbles I thought were gone are not gone. So I'll have to do what I was doing and bring the paint up. I mean, I can see the paint. It's right there, but there's still like a little layer of bubbles surrounding it. So pretty annoying. Do this since it's underneath, and then we're going to pull the bubbles into one spot here. Try and blow them out. There's that beautiful knot work I was telling you about that they did. And they designed this piece. It's gorgeous. Now there'll be a piece of parchment that goes over this section right here. That's probably why there's not so much underneath of that. You kind of have to put that parchment on the way things are designed. And you can see the runes here on this armor plate as I pull the brush across it. You see the ink falling into the cracks there for these air bubbles. So I learned a lesson with this is to shake it and then probably to let it set back down. If I'm going to try and use it to paint with, dipping it may be okay because I can use just blow on it and knock the bubbles away. But as far as using the paintbrush, I'm not real keen on that part of it. It may just be the size of this piece too. I said I'm using this piece is doing this piece is kind of out of my comfort zone just because of the size of it. Trying to really get in there and pull those segmented layers of this piece together. Get some shading around the areas and really get in there and pull those runes out. I don't know if you can see this here, but the runes that are in there are just awesome looking. Oh, and there's a little wolf paw emblem there. Those will probably turn out to be gold once they get done. I really like the way that's pulling the in the segments of the armor, and then the wash is laying in all the carving on it, and so it pulls that detail out, so you can really see it now. So I'm gonna go under here. There's there's no arms; it's just a bust and a head and giant wolf pelt. So flat pieces. You've got a little bit, as you can see. I'm not going to worry too much about the middle of the back, but up here at the top and across the side. This is going to be where the other arm piece sits, the shoulder pad, and the backpack, and we want to make sure that we get those areas because the hand goes numb. You want to make sure there's no primer showing through on that when the pieces join. So make sure you get in there. See, it's got a chain with some knot work underneath of it around the collar here. Try and pull those bubbles out or blow the bubbles out. Yep. Here, this is just kind of covering that area up when it meets. It really pulls the detail. Load your brush up here to get it to flow well. Just want to make sure that those bubbles are not coming with it. See how it flows into those areas where we want to pick the detail up at. Now, do I recommend this? Yeah, I do. Maybe not so much for big pieces, but definitely for smaller pieces. I do like the way that it covers, and it is a good dip for the 28, 35 millimeter scale. And as we're seeing, it's okay for bigger pieces. It still has the flow quality that you're looking for. My suggestion is if you get it, do your mix, maybe pour it into another container to strain the bubbles, or let it set and let the bubbles dissipate, which is probably what I should have done. Was one of those two suggestions. But I like to, when the mood hits me, I like to get painting right away, because sometimes I don't know how long that muse is going to last. And this piece here, Zayas, he really wanted me to show him, kind of document the painting of it, and he's anxious to see it painted, and honestly, I am too. I like the way it looks. Um, you can really, really see that detail that you couldn't see before with the inking it. It's really pulled the colors up, or detail out. Sorry, not color. We're going to do a little deeper inking here, and hopefully pull some more of that detail out, especially around the holes here. You don't want to overdo it along the bottom where we obscure the knot work here. But as you can see, there's a lot of detail on it that you couldn't see before, just because of the light color, and there was no contrasting colors on it. Now I get to try and do this neck piece here. It's a challenge. Got some pieces, some spots I saw. As it fell, I had missed. Fix that. Trying to get everything. Make sure we didn't scrape any off here. You can see it's like he's bolted the chain um, back here. It's like it's bolted to the armor rather than just like laying on it. So that's pretty cool. Details. Like I said, I love this piece. The detail is amazing to me. Make sure we get good here, because all of this in here should be maybe not black, but very, very deep gray with lots of contrast. Make sure we got that in there. Just gotta make sure we don't get the bubbles in there. If you can see that in there, um, the angle on it. Trying to get that contrast in there. We're trying to keep from getting too much. at the same time. We're just going to inspect and look for anything that's not this gray. We're looking for that primer, make sure that all of it's covered up. And we're looking pretty good here. Looking pretty good. Okay. So we're going to let this dry. And my recommendation on Shiza, on something of this size and with this paint is I would let it dry at least 24 hours before you go on. Like I said, I don't know how this resin is going to do with paint absorption. So I'm going to let it set overnight, and then I'm going to go back and check it and see if it's absorbed it or if it rubs off. So we're going to make sure that it's good and solid, and it's not too splotchy. So we got to get a good base coat on here. So when we start doing the detail work, it doesn't peel off. It's just heartbreaking when that happens, especially when you've put a lot of time and effort into a piece and you pick it up and your finger smudges the side of it and the paint just comes right off. It's really heartbreaking at times. So you want to make sure that you're on your smaller pieces that you're using some kind of paint holder, or I'm sorry, figure holder. I use these, the Citadel ones. I like them. They open up. You've got for um, 25, 35 millimeter, and even tornadoer size bases. It does work. This is a pug, but it is the right size base. They do hold it, um, and it's pretty secure. Um, so when you're painting, they make a bigger one that is actually designed for the bigger sizes. Um, I like them. I've got 5 of them. I bought two of them, and 3 of them were gifted to me for Christmas when they came out. I really like the way they work. As you can see, I'm not going to do the cloth just yet. I'm still working on the colors. I've got 3 colors picked out for the browns. Um, Citadel and Vallejo, all 3 of them. And I'll just drop it. There it is. Got my dark, light, and the medium color. What I'll do is I'll get some pictures of actual wolf pelts, and I'll use those as reference material to try and figure out how to put the shading in it and their different variations in their backpack color, their back colors, and I'll use those. I'll probably use some whites, maybe a beige uh, or a tan to get their colorations right. Um, my cat's trying to climb my leg. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed what little bit there was. Like I said, you can see it's kind of pulling away here. So I want to see if it's going to do that again. More of that's going to happen or not. It looks like it's going to rub a little bit. also, so there may be I have to apply a second coat, or I may have to seal it in between, so when I'm painting the other colors, it doesn't lift this off. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, and I'm going to put it in a case so that it can not get disturbed. And then we'll check it out tomorrow, and hopefully I can uh, do some other work on it tomorrow and show you along the way. So that's it for now. Be good to each other. Happy gaming. Good painting. Peace out.